Welcome back to the daily basketball recap. My name is Levi Jacob. We just want to recap a few things here. Just two quick hits. Marcus Smart over the weekend, I think it was over the weekend, maybe a little before, was announced that he was being bought out by the Washington Wizards and is planning on signing with the Lakers. Um, just as a quick hit of news, it's an interesting one for sure. Um, I don't know to tell you that he's the same player that he was when he won the Defensive Player of the Year, right? He's not going to add that pedigree to the Lakers, but he's still a definitely more than a serviceable defender. Um, and he does bring better perimeter defense than what they had last year. They were relying on Jordan Goodwin, who's a good defender, but definitely not a Marcus Smart. The only difficulty will be Luka and LeBron kind of tempering his his shot taking IQ. But I think that he's shown that potentially he can rise to that occasion. Maybe he can, not in a playoff series, but in the regular season, win them a game or two on hot, streaky 3-point shooting. But more importantly, he won't have to play offense. I think LeBron and Luka might tell him to just stop shooting the ball entirely, and just help them on defense, which is something that they definitely needed. What this adds to this Lakers team is an ability to switch. I mean, they have been with Rui Hachimura and Jackson Hayes, although he's kind of slower. We saw he wasn't such a good defender. And DeAndre Ayton also isn't the fastest inside. But with LeBron and Marcus Smart in clutch situations, as well as Rui Hachimura, um, and Austin Reeves in stretches, he's also not the best defender. Um, if they have buy-in and health, it's definitely a good pickup for them for next to nothing. They it's a commonality in LeBron's tenure in the NBA is that he ends up on certain teams that kind of need all the help that they can get. So moving forward, it'll be very interesting to see, kind of what Marcus Smart can provide to this team if he's able to stay on the floor even. But last year he had a good season being a veteran to the Washington Wizards. He really influenced a lot of those players. You could see it as they played just hard nosed basketball, rough and tough style, gritty. Um, and unfortunately, the season before that with the Grizzlies didn't pan out so well because mostly injury played a role for him. So it'll be very interesting to see. It'll be very, very interesting to see. Moving on, big news everyone's talking about today. More recent news at the very least. Um, Chris Paul going back to the Clippers. Uh, Big deal for the storyline. Similar to Damian Lillard going. It's his second homecoming. In a sense. Um, I'm honestly, in my personal opinion, I hope to get everybody else on this podcast's ideas soon enough. I don't think that it's as big of a get as some people might think. I think he's now 40 years old, point guard, not, again, playing next to James Harden. They had a good couple seasons there in Houston, but they're both significantly older than they were. Um, Coming off the bench probably will be his role, and he'll probably be good at it, honestly, unless they plan on starting him, which is, I don't recommend that they would do that because I just don't know how much longevity he provides to this team. I think it's a good story. I don't think that this team is winning. I don't think we discussed it on the podcast. I like the John Collins move a lot. I think it's actually a really good move. The Bradley Beal get is also a big one. I think that he's going to show that he's a lot better um, than people saw him as in Phoenix last year, or I guess the two previous years. I think that they will be an interesting team if all things go right with their health. But these are all players that throughout most of their careers up to this point, people have been saying that about, unfortunately. So I hope, again, I just want good basketball. I really, really hope that they are able to stay healthy and they provide a very interesting, playoff run in the future, things like that. Um, it has the same feeling a little bit of the Dallas Mavericks team from 2011, right? All these veterans coming together. The only thing that they're missing is that one Kawhi player. Sorry, that one Dirk Nowitzki player who hadn't won is playing at the MVP level. If Kawhi is able to do that, that's outstanding and remarkable. He hasn't put together a season like that over the course of his career. He's had flashes. Obviously, he's an excellent player, but he hasn't played with that, consistent health in a sense. So I'm a big believer that James Harden is still a very, very good player. Obviously, he made All NBA last year, All NBA team last year. I think he did. At least I think he did. He's, still James Harden at the end of the day. And they added some pieces here and there. Norman Powell is a loss for them. That's without a doubt. But in spite of losing him, they've added a couple pieces that I think are going to be serviceable rotation players. So not everybody's going to have to play so many minutes again. And Zubats, I think, can return at the same level. I think he's a very underrated player still. So I'm very excited to see what the Clippers team can put together. I'm excited for a season series in LA. I think these two teams are going to match up well against each other, have a lot of fun. I still don't think this puts either of those teams in the same category as a Thunder or a Rockets. Even, I would say Nuggets. But what I will say is, I think people are really forgetting who Luka Dončić is. That's really, at the end of the day, my takeaway from this. The Clippers announced their presence at the end of last season. They kind of petered out against the Nuggets in a 7-game series. Very, very impressive series, to say the least. But you saw that their legs were getting tired. I don't know if they could have sustained a whole playoff run, is my takeaway from that. Like, after watching the Thunder and the Pacers get through those playoffs, it's a lot. Like, every year I'm just reminded of how many games it is to get to the NBA Finals. I don't know if the Clippers could have done it. They were already looking very worn out by the time they got to the end of the 7-game series against the Nuggets. And the Nuggets were like, it was a zombie Nuggets team at that point. But I think people are really underrating Luka Dončić, and I think that if the pieces around them that they've added to this team are able to work with Luka Dončić, if DeAndre Ayton is able to take it up at least another level to what he was in Phoenix, and Marcus Smart is able to get to like half of what he was, when he was in Boston that one year, and he won the Defensive Player of the Year. I really think that the Lakers could be a very formidable team. I don't want to say very formidable. I think definitely they could end in a top 4 seed, which I know a lot of people will say is not that impressive. I just can't count out the Thunder or Houston at this point, or Denver. So I think both moves between Chris Paul and Marcus Smart are the right moves. Veteran presence always is a highlight, high IQ player in Chris Paul. Good scrappy defender for the Lakers with Marcus Smart. Definitely improvements and definitely working towards the right goal. I think the Lakers, I don't know if they keep Dalton Connect, honestly. I think that might be the next move, because his summer league play was not good, and he didn't even see, they kept him in place of Mark Williams last season with all of everything that was packed into that Mark Williams trade. But then he didn't really get much playing time in the playoffs, and he didn't really, I think maybe it shook him from his game. Maybe he needs a change of scenery, even though it was a rookie season last season. And I think a lot of players have a hard time kind of existing within that realm of, will I be traded, will I not be traded, unfortunately. So I think he could be on the horizon to be moved to get something that's more beneficial to this team, because they have a lot of they need more defense. His 3-point shooting is something that's interesting, but I don't think it's makes it worth it for the Lakers to have him out there necessarily, especially when they already have so many ball handlers and so many people who can also, kind of work with the shooting. But yeah, I'm very excited to see how the season plays out. Hopefully all these players can continue forward with nothing but health. I want to see competitive, good basketball. The parity the last few seasons have been a lot of fun. So hopefully it'll make for some good matchups. That was your daily basketball recap. We'll be coming at you soon with some more stuff. Max is on the I was going to say hot seat, but that's not the word I'm looking for. He's on the clock with some very interesting content coming to you soon, with a very special guest. So keep an eye out for that. A little bit later today, I hope we did a deep dive into the Dallas Mavericks offseason and recap. And I hope that will be, I know that it's an interesting video, so keep an eye out for that, and for keep your eyes locked on our channel for more deep dives into the rest of the teams in the league and their off seasons. And I just want to thank you all for listening and watching. I know this format is a little bit unconventional, but we'll be back at it with a regular format before you know it. I really appreciate you guys. Please leave your thoughts and comments down below. Let us know if you think either signing makes significant waves, moves the needle at all, or if it's just kind of, lateral movement. I want the craziest takes. We want all the smoke. We want everything. Please let us know down below, and have a great day.